Hey, what's going on, everyone? I hope everyone's enjoying the summertime so far. I haven't been in front of the camera in a long time. I think the audio video is getting a little bit played out, but now that the summertime is here, I'm feeling pretty good. The summer league started up, so yeah, I figured I'd just do a video in front of the camera. There's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about in the world of mainstream professional wrestling, with the summer of Punk and Punk's promo and all that stuff. But for this video, I'm just going to do the same old shit. I'm going to do a two Ring of Honor DVD reviews, so hope you guys will stick around and watch the video. So here we go, really quickly. Let's talk about ROH's Revolution USA. I actually did a video or a review of this a couple weeks ago, or last week, and I didn't like the way it came out because I did a terrible impersonation of the Jay Briscoe promo, and I think it went a little bit too long. It was like 15 minutes, didn't need to be that long. So I'm just going to quickly go over this. This had Steve Corino. Great promo from Steve Corino. He cut a great promo with Prodigy Mike Bennett. That was a great confrontation. That was pretty good stuff. The Briscoes and the All Night Express had a first blood match. First blood matches are really just a way for the heels to get heat, to progress the feud. But this is pretty good. I like Mark Briscoe. He had a huge chunk of blood over his face. He actually hit underneath the ring, and then Red Titus got busted open, so the Briscoes actually won the match. So it was pretty solid for what it was. But name a first blood match off the top of your head that was spectacular. I can't really think of one, but let's just move right along. We had Christopher Daniels and Colt Cabana, which was fun. It was like a nice television match, but hopefully these two guys had a better match in Supercard of Honor 6. Next up, we had Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas taking on Adam Colt and Kyle O'Reilly. This was fine. My only complaint with it was there was no entrances. Usually when guys don't get entrances, it's guys like Bobby Dempsey or Shane Hagedorn or some of the ROH Wrestling School guys. But why would you do that for the two of the top tag teams in the company? One of the teams is actually the World Tag Team Champions. So I didn't agree with that. But the overall match was really, really good, though. I really enjoyed it, because it's just such a nice combination. You got Colt and O'Reilly. They're in their early 20s, 21, 22, whatever. And then Shelton and Charlie are like 35. And I think Charlie Haas is like 40 years old right now. So just a nice combination of that. And it was a good match. Kind of ended right before it got going, but tremendous action. I think these two teams should definitely have a match on television, because I think this is a nice combination for a television type of match once they do start the tapings up again. So next up, we have Roderick and El Generico. This was a no disqualification match, and Generico's been feuding with the House of Truth, and him and Roderick had so many matches over the past year. So I think this definitely called for the no DQ stipulation, and they've definitely used it to their advantage. This was really fun. This had some really nice interference from the House of Truth with Christopher Daniels, Michael Elgin, and Colt Cabana made a save. I don't mind interference as long as it's not going to affect the quality of the match, and it didn't affect it here. We got some really exciting stuff from Generico, a lot of high spots, a lot of brutal chops and backbreakers from Strong. That they used the chair, they used the table. Generico did a frog splash through a table. The ending was really, really sick. I'll just spoil it. This show is pretty old, so why not? Roderick Strong did a beautiful backbreaker to Generico through the table off the top rope. I thought that came off really well. Just awesome finish. Definitely progresses this House of Truth El Generico feud. So yeah, really good stuff. Definitely the second best match on the show. And then the main event, we had the Kings of Wrestling versus the American Wolves. These two teams, I really think they should have. These two teams should have met on pay-per-view or at a New York or a Chicago show, one of the bigger shows. I just think it's such a big matchup that they should have definitely had a higher profile match. Instead, they've just been having matches on B shows or C shows or whatever you want to call them. But make no mistake about it, this is still a great match. It wasn't quite as overkill as their match from Tag Title Classic 2. This didn't have like a whole bunch of near falls and a whole bunch of spots. Instead, they just got right to it. This was just really, really good, solid wrestling. Claudio and Hero were trying to soften up Eddie Edwards for Hero's title match the next night. So that was a pretty interesting story. And I don't know, these two teams just had a great match, but this was more about, just setting up Davey and Eddie heading into Best in the World. Davey actually fucked up and kicked Eddie right in the face, and Eddie actually took the pinfall, and they were arguing after the match. So this is a pretty good storyline progression show. It progressed the Davey-Eddie feud, progressed the Briscoes and All Night Express stuff. The Steve Corino the whole Steve Corino storyline with Jimmy Jacobs and you know, the House of Truth and Mike Bennett progressed all of that stuff. You know, so it's pretty much all I could say. It's definitely a step up from some of the other shows that the did I mention this yet? This show actually took place in Michigan. So the Michigan, Detroit area they've gotten really bad shows over the last couple of years, and this is definitely one of the better shows that they've given that market. So it's good to see that. So that's ROH Revolution USA. All right, so let's jump right along into Revolution Canada. We have that young knockout kid Chris Hero on the cover, and trust me, Hero did not disappoint on this show. He was great in the main event with Eddie Edwards. All right, so let's get right down to it. The first match of the night, we have Claudio Castagnoli versus Kyle O'Reilly. This is really good stuff. Obviously, you have two tremendous talents out there in the opening match, which was a breath of fresh air to see two guys who could definitely go in the opening match. But, you know, Kyle O'Reilly's from Canada, so he came out with the Canadian flag, and Claudio was trying to do some heel stuff with the flag. He didn't quite get as edgy as HBK. Thank God, because, you know, Claudio's a nice guy. I can't really buy Claudio as a heel. If you've seen the Claudio's Cafe segments, I don't see how you can hate this guy. I can't hate him anymore. But you know, Claudio and O'Reilly, you know, really fun opener. Probably the second best opener ROH had this year. Just really fun stuff between these guys. O'Reilly actually did a sharpshooter, which was, I think, was fitting for the occasion because they were in Canada, so it made sense. Really hot finish. Really, they just worked really well together. 3.5 stars. All right, so let's move on to the next match. We have Steve Corino versus the Prodigy Mike Bennett. This is good. This is definitely a step up from the snooze fest from Manhattan Mayhem. I mean, Corino's from Canada. You know, he came out with this Canadian jersey, so that got him a lot of cheap heat. So that was cool to see. You know, Bennett looked pretty good. You know, I wouldn't say he looked amazing. He got a lot of overrated chants, which were definitely warranted because I didn't think he looked great. But Corino did some pretty. This is like a nice mixture of comedy in this match, and really good stuff here. With you know, Corino was actually going for a torpedo, and then the Prodigy actually did a drop kick in midair. So that came off really well. That was a good spot. But yeah, definitely a little bit more enjoyable than you would expect. So let's move on to the next match. We had a double danger scramble match. He actually had to get 2 pinfalls to actually win this match. And pretty cool concept. I'm really glad that they brought back the scramble match. I think this is a great way to, you know, showcase some of the undercard talent and just let them shine, and, you know, to put some of these guys over. We have Rhett, Titus, Adam Cole, Michael Elgin, Tomasso, Ciampa, Grizzly, Redwood, and Andy Right Leg Ridge. All these guys work well together. This was the second best match of the night. This is just a lot of fun. It was definitely a breath of fresh air. Michael Elgin, definitely the MVP of this match. He looked like a beast. You know, this match is definitely tailor-made for a guy like Michael Elgin. Just threw some of these guys around like they were nothing. The finish was awesome. Elgin actually did a double power bomb on Grizzly, Redwood, and Andy Right Leg Ridge. It looked really good. Awesome stuff. Tomasso Ciampa, guy looked pretty impressive here. I thought he looked great. You know, he worked well with certain guys in the match. He worked well with Adam Cole. He worked well with Rhett, Titus. So we'll see what Ciampa has. I haven't been too impressed with him, but you know, hopefully he just gets more comfortable as time goes on, because he looked impressive here. And Rhett Titus definitely showed here he's come so far over the last couple of years, so he looked great. But like I said, though, this is a lot of fun. Definitely don't skip this match. This was the second best match of the night, in my opinion. I'm going to give it 4 stars just because it was that fun. Next up, we had Davey Richards versus Kenny King, the rematch from the Big Bang. Now, a lot of people were really critical of this match during the live reviews. They thought the face versus face dynamics really didn't work here, and I would agree to a certain extent. For some reason, the finishing sequence just didn't click. There was a botch, then Davey got all pissed off, and he went right back to the locker room. It was hilarious because you could just tell Davey just snapped. He was like, "Fuck it, I'm not even gonna, you know, pose or anything." But you know, give Kenny King credit though. I thought Kenny King looked great, even though they botched that last spot. I thought they really tried to show that he's come a long way, and that, you know, it's going to take Davey a lot more time to defeat Kenny King. So that's why maybe it got a little bit too much time, but I thought it worked though. I thought it got the job done. And because Davey fucked up, they had to film a segment in the back with Davey kind of apologizing to Kenny, because it definitely made Kenny King look weak. Because I really got the feeling that Davey was pissed because they fucked up the ending. So, well, obviously he was pissed because they fucked up the ending. So, all right, let's move on to the next match. We had Delirious versus Colt Cabana in memory of Larry Sweeney. Sweet and sour. I mean, really, really fun stuff. I thought this show was really, really long, so I was feeling a little bit burned out. So this was a nice change of pace to do some comedy stuff. This was kind of disappointing from a wrestling standpoint because, you know, if you've seen Delirious and Cabana in the past, they've had some really good matches with just comedy and some mixing some wrestling too. This was just more comedy. You know, they did some really fun stuff. They played Larry Sweeney's theme music, all of his themes throughout the whole match, and they started dancing with Todd Sinclair. Just really fun stuff. Probably one of the funnest matches, or you know, probably one of the best comedy matches of the year, without a doubt. So let's move on to the next match. We have Christopher Daniels versus El Generico. You know, Christopher Daniels actually sided with the House of Truth and turned on El Generico a couple months ago. So they finally, you know, had a match. This is actually a non-title match. So Generico actually came out and he really dictated the tempo. Really started brawling with Daniels. Took it to him 100 miles an hour. So this, you know, unlike the match at Best in the World where Daniels pretty much, you know, slowed it down and dictated the tempo. That match is really, really slow at Best in the World. This was, you know, more of a, you know, maybe about a 10-minute match, which was really fast-paced, really exciting stuff. You know, Corino actually got involved and made the save because Michael Elgin came out. So we got a really cool confrontation with Corino and El Generico. You know, because, you know, Corino and Generico were feuding last year, as a lot of you guys might remember. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I'll give Daniels and Generico credit. They just had a really, really solid, fast-paced match. Really fun to watch. And I would agree with Nightmare Baller. I would say that Generico, I'm not going to say he's the best wrestler in Ring of Honor, maybe not the best worker, but I would say the most reliable and the most consistent, without a doubt. So let's move on to Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas taking on the Briscoes. This is actually for the tag team championships, but you know they've been promoting so many you know, dream tag team matches, Ring of Honor. I think this is appropriate though. This really didn't get a lot of time. This felt more like a television match. This is more about just building some more heat to the Briscoes and All Night Express feud. Basically, the Briscoes took out the championship belt. Were trying to whack Shelton over the head with it, and then the All Night Express made the save. So, you know, this wasn't really much of a match. This a lot of people were disappointed with their match at the 9th anniversary show, but you know, this wasn't really anything much better. This is just a 3-star match. That's pretty much all it was. You know, these two teams are on the verge of, you know, having a huge feud after Best in the World. So, you know, these two teams will have more matches in the future. There's no need to worry. But I'm glad they didn't have like a 25-minute match. I think that would have been too long. It would have burned out the crowd because, you know, Eddie Edwards and Chris Hero got about like 40 minutes. So let's move on to the main event. We had Edwards versus Hero. This was great. You know, people don't like to use the word epic, but it was pretty damn close. This is definitely one of the top 5 matches of the year, and let's give Chris Hero credit. I thought he performed awesome in this match. He really came to play. He really, you know, dissected Edwards, took apart his arm. You know, sometimes when people work over the arm or whatever, some people will find that boring, but here, the crowd was totally into it. It definitely worked. Hero definitely, he was basically making, you know, they made it so it was entertaining enough where you thought Edwards was going to die or just, you know, pass out or just, you know, because he was screaming like a girl. So Edwards sold it really good. He sold it the rest of the match. You know, a lot of you guys that have been really critical of ROH's psychology and, you know, the overkill, I definitely think everyone should definitely enjoy this match. Really good stuff. This was tremendously stiff. You know, Eddie was stiff as hell with Hero. They put themselves through hell. You know, even though Eddie basically was wrestling this match with one arm, he still gave it his all. He still, you know, busted out a Sai moonsault. He actually did a fisherman buster on the edge of the ring apron to take Hero out. A lot of you guys might not like the finish, but I think it worked because Hero sold it like he was dead. So definitely, this was a long match. It was really stiff, really hard hitting. You know, I thought Claudio's interference definitely added to the match. Claudio actually came out and did a Ricola bomb, and Edwards actually kicked out of it. That really woke the crowd up and got the crowd more into the match. So just great stuff from these two guys. I would say this is definitely, without a doubt, one of the top 5 matches of the year. And overall, this Canadian show, it was just a great show. You know, from top to bottom, I thought everything was fun. It was had a nice mix of comedy. You had great opening matches. You had scrambles. You had awesome main events, some good tag team matches. So definitely check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully I didn't get too nervous. It's the first time in front of the camera in a long time, and that's pretty much all I could say. So, all right.